the check.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, and other than that, the other grants so far seem to be holding fairly close, again, as, you know, some of it are based on our demographics, so we'll have to see, you know, if there's a shift there at all. Circuit breaker, in FY16, we're actually going to hit it for a harder amount than what we had originally budgeted, but we'll be up to that 684, and what we typically have been using is about 475, so I'm projecting using the 575 next year. You have to spend what you bring in within a 12-month period. We brought in 571, are bringing in 571 this year, so the 575 is in that range. And that still will leave us, you know, a little over $400,000 in the circuit breaker, not as much as I would like to have, but still is a better cushion than having nothing as we move forward here. So you can see our total resources, you know, will be down from what we're using this year, but still trying to use as much as we possibly can without you know, putting us in a position that we have no control over our future.
Can I just hit one more click, Bill? The famous pie. Here we go.
This actually has shifted a little bit from last year, and you would expect it to from the special ed side. The larger portion, the instruction side, was 59% last year, and the special ed was 24%, so 1% swing there. All the others, plant and operations, transportation, central administration, technology, and athletics have stayed in the same percentage for the last 3 years, actually. So we're fairly consistent there, but obviously our a little bit of our swing would
Right.
be.
And I think we've been very stable at 59% general instruction, 24% special ed. So what you heard doesn't sound like a large shift, but it is something that we're watching, because we really don't want that to keep creeping in more one way and you know, to the detriment of general instruction. So that certainly is, even though it's only 1% shift, which is logical, based on what you just heard, it certainly isn't a trend that we want to see continue. So we're hoping to either stop it there or hopefully bring it back in the future to the previous balance of 59-24.
As far as next steps, obviously, we continue internally to review the budget and again, talk with the administrative base on our side. We are obviously still in contact and continue to discuss the revenue changes as far as the town side goes and what they're forecasting. We have a pretty good relationship with them as far as any changes that come across. As Deb said, you know, you're seeing the first view of it today. We'll have our next one. Is it January 11th? Is that right?
I was going to ask for clarification on
I think
that.
that's
I thought
actually-
it was January 4th, but
I think it
I
is.
thought it was right when we come back, so I'm
Okay, so that'd be the
going to
4th.
look.
January 4th.
It is, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah, I thought
So that's
it-
actually January 4th, and as Deb said, that the...
It is, yes.
Yep, because 3 weeks later is the vote.
Right, the final.
Yeah.
And then, you know, again, we'll be in front of the AdCom on February 3rd, based on what your final decisions are within this budget, and changes from there. Behind that, you have the full detail, line by line. I'm not anticipating you wanted to go through that right now. It's really what you probably want to do.
Page by page, please.
Page by page, and item by item. But I will point
I
out
wanna
that
comment
anything
on
that is, any place you'll see a shaded item, that is something that's a change from a previous year. So I tried to make it a little easier there as far as if there was a change in FTEs, if there was a change in part of the program. If it's just a dollar change because of steps or lane changes or something like that, I'm not highlighting, because that's just part of the natural program. So you'll see again on all 3 elementaries, there have been no change really on the expense side, and a few minor, and the changes strictly on the budget side for salaries are the steps, because again, we don't have a COLA faction into this part of it yet. And then you'll see the few changes that we talked about on both the middle school and the high school, well, the middle school on the expense side, and a small amount on the high school general instruction side, and then again, each one of the other areas relative to the arts, music. Music had a small increase in one area, I think you may remember, well, actually, not too many of you were on the committee back then. There was a fairly good-sized donation made for band uniforms years ago, which also had the ability in the gift fund to help us, maintain the condition of the uniforms through cleaning on an annual basis. That has actually been fully utilized as of this year, so next year we'll actually have to pick up that cost of the
The cleaning.
cleanings. So that's why there's a
But that
small
was
increase.
that was very generous to
Yes.
include that for a few years.
So there's a small increase for that, and that's, really kind of the gist of the music program's changes. Art and...
I wonder if that donor would have any interest in renewing that.
I don't think that donor lives in town.
Okay?
maybe there's somebody else who would be interested in doing that.
There are a lot of music lovers in our town.
That's what I'm
That's
thinking.
right.
Other than that, again, what I would like is any of the areas that you, as you kind of get the opportunity to view this, now in detailed line basis, if you can kind of either funnel them, back to Deb and I so that we can come in prepared to, with additional detail behind each one of these, because obviously each one of these, your book has some level of detail behind those as well, but we can come up with even more just to make sure that you're comfortable with why decisions are being made the way they are.
Well, I think for people who have followed our budget process any number of years, they've seen the level of attention to detail that we put into it, that really you put into it, Bill, and take us through. And I don't think there's a whole lot of questioning. I think the tenor of the discussion, if you listen to the last 30 minutes or whatever, it's really not about being drunk and disorderly and throwing in all sorts of wish list things. It's really much more a tenor of, skeptically, or not skeptically, but carefully looking at, where are the incremental costs and why. So you've done a real nice job, as always, of putting together the initial draft, and we'll continue to look at it from that vein. But I don't know that I have any more thoughts of direction that I'd like, other than the one I mentioned. Does anybody else have any direction or questions they have for Bill?
What, as we sit here now, what is maybe the projected list of things for CIP? Do we know?
You're going to see that the first meeting in January,
Yeah.
actually.
But I think Spinelli will be telling you one of the items tonight that's, going to be out there, so.
Okay.
We're still
Just-
working on that, so you will see that on January 4th.
Or-
So is it would you like Dr. Einzel to join you on the 4th to talk about special education, or do you feel you don't need it? I mean, just want to know
We
if
can-
if you'd find that helpful,
I
or,
think it would be very helpful.
okay.
I was going to say the same thing. I think it would give us a frame of reference without going into any great detail, but just the decision-making process and
so, too.
a general understanding of how these decisions are made. As I said before, I trust
Or
her
just
judgment.
what
but I
are the
do
nature
think-
of the growing needs in that area? And
Exactly.
how do we
Yes.
confront it?
Yep.
And then to call out the full-day kindergarten, more specifically, we'll
Yep.
do some alteration of that slide and come back with that so you can replace it. Anything else you'd like to hear more about, or you can let me know between now and then.
Yeah, I think we need to
Sure.
digest it a little bit.
Digest is a good word, I know.
Yeah.
But
I was grateful that Mr. Yukna dropped it off at my house Saturday afternoon, but I will say I haven't had time to fully marinate, to use one of Steve's words, on these numbers, so.
This requires some marinating.
Yes,
I'm
deep
bringing in
marination, but,
lexicon.
you are, Steve-isms, but yeah, I think that we can be in touch.
Okay,
before
Bill,
this
thank you.
meeting.
That's a real good initial review, and I know a lot of work on your part. We appreciate it.
Well, I gotta say, it's not me. There's a broader team that's involved with this, all the way down to each principal having to look at every one of their expense lines and kind of justify, like I said, I mean, there's quite a bit, and I appreciate, and I think, both Deb and Amy and I can speak to this as far as the principals' willingness to really, indulge us when we do our deep dives on areas of staffing and stuff like that. Again, we know you're going to be facing those questions just as we are, so it's one of those things, we don't want to walk in and build a budget when they haven't done that. So they're very involved with us through
Yeah.
that part of the process, and
That's a good word. They do indulge us for
Yeah.
all of our questions.
Yeah. And we do ask a lot. so.
We do ask a lot of questions. But I think one thing I do want to say, though, to Bill's credit, is that when I came back here as the assistant superintendent in 2007, the budget process seemed much more, what's the right word? a lot went on. Like, there were heavy budget meetings, of people were trumping in and out of office all the time and following up. It seemed to be, I don't want to say labor intensive, because it certainly is for Bill, but more labor intensive for many more people. And I think right now, we're in a groove. Like, they've got the routine down, the principals know it, the department heads know it. It's very efficient, I will say now. They know what's expected. Bill sends them the things. They think about any small changes they want to make. They meet with Bill, or they look at what Bill has and says, good to go. So I'd say the budget process is much more streamlined and efficient, and doesn't involve as many man-hours of people back and forth and chasing numbers or chasing things. So to me, my experience of it is it's streamlined and efficient and targeted, and allows us the time to ask those harder questions or things.
Well, I think that's one of the benefits of having a stable leadership team that's been here for a while, and they understand the desire of the town to have a quality school system that's at a responsible price. And, you know, we're fortunate that we've had all those folks there. And
Right.
so you're right, to your point, thank you, but thank you to the team that assembled your binder, or the data that's in your binder.
The next one is actually going to be very quick as far as
Yep.
the budget update. Basically, I was holding to say that there was no changes, but based on what's happening with the special ed, and I have another meeting with them tomorrow to go through it, I'm actually going to give you the budget update for the first meeting in January, because I wanted to have those pieces. I had nothing else that had actually changed since the last budget update, but now that I know what's going to be hitting us for this year, you know, I'm going to be doing a series of number changes that I'll be showing you as to how I'm going to make that all work. But it also gives me an extra week or so to see if I have any other areas that I need to deal with as well.
Great.
That's fine.
Thank
Okay, so we have a donation.
We do. So, this is an annual donation. I think it'd be great to call this out. So this is from a letter from the Pilot House, which is Family Philanthropy. And each year at this time, the Pilot House awards a grant on the behalf of Michael Dunn, who donates to the preschool enrichment programs each year in the amount of $500. And this is something that Mr. Dunn really feels very strongly about our preschool program, and he advocates on behalf of the Pilot House, where different people can put in where they'd like to see some philanthropy go, that he always remembers the preschool, and he's really been somebody to count on for that. And in preschool, $500 goes a long way toward enrichment for the preschool. So the preschool enrichment programs experience this wonderful benefit every year. So we just received our check of $500 from the Pilot House, which is on behalf of Michael Dunn and his efforts, so I definitely want to thank them for that.
Somebody want to move to accept?
I will move to accept with gratitude.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? 4-0. Thank you very much, Mr. Dunn,
Much appreciated.
and the Pilot House.
That's great.
Okay, other matters. Madam Superintendent?
Thank you. I have one of the best
Then
other
you have to
matters
go
I've had in a
over.
long time.
Excellent.
So around, just before dinner time, I had a lovely conversation with Diane Sullivan from the Mass School Building Authority, who is pleased to inform us that there has been a staff recommendation to move the Borough School Building Authority project forward to invite us into the process. At this point, it is a staff recommendation, so what happens in December is either staff recommendation to invite us in, or we don't get invited in. So that's the December options. So we're happy that we're option one, and the board will be voting on the staff recommendations at their meeting on January 27th. But this is a very good sign. It was a terrific phone call, and she's one of the people that came out a year ago to meet with us, along with Jack McCarthy from MSBA, and tour the Borough School and see up close for themselves what our issues are and what we're asking for.
And I'm
So,
sure,
we're thrilled.
I'm sure everyone in the borough community knows what you're talking about, but just in
Yes.
case, invite us in.
All right, invite us in means, this is the third year we've tried, so we've submitted a statement of interest, which Bill creates, to ask for a renovation and repair of the Borough Elementary School. Bill can tell you all the things it contains. Getting rid of the original boilers is probably big in there. To make it ADA compliant, we have very small bathrooms, small doorways, you can't fit wheelchairs in there or move around the building. roof,
Et cetera, et cetera.
ventilation.
Roof, windows, it really, I mean, we've done a lot of work as far as the facilities on the exterior, pavements and things like that, which will save the town money in the overall program. None of that's going to be destroyed or touched at all. So the playgrounds, all of that's actually in good shape and fine. But as Deb said, the building's close to 50 years old. It has had no serious interior work done to it. The problem we faced with any time we wanted to do something major like with boilers, then we were going to have faced making changes to the roof, and then we were going to have to redo the roof. If we redid the univent units in the classrooms, then we were going to affect the windows that were in the classrooms. It was one thing would trigger another, and that's why it really never made sense to say, let's just take a piecemeal approach, because it got too grand too fast. So in this case, the only other thing that we are looking at, and it's, as you all know, we use the Borough School as our pre-K center as well, and the therapeutic needs within that grouping, that building, as a matter of fact, there's no building in our district that was ever built to have the classrooms that are really appropriate for what you would like to do nowadays and how you'd like to service those kids. So when you go to the Borough, you'll see a lot of the apparatus outside of the classrooms and hallways and
In the cafeteria.
different areas. Yeah. So the reality here is what we'd like to do as part of that program is to add 2 classrooms that are 100% geared towards the pre-K. They're the appropriate size with the appropriate facilities in them so that we can manage that program better. We were also, short in the way our building laid out as far as the technology side of things. Now we've made some adjustments this year to make it so that we could have a full lab there, but that came at the cost of the fact that we had a reduction in the kindergarten class, and if we didn't, we weren't going to be able to do that. There's no guarantees that we will stay at the size we are within that building. So again, when you do these MSBA programs, you're supposed to do it for the long run. So while we've had a slight reduction, in that building from a student population point of view, you can't depend on that staying there, because we still have the same number of residential units that are in that district, and they can turn over and obviously bring more children back into the program. So you build it for the long run. You're not building it for your current need today. So I think when we go through this, the program and the borough parents and I think community out in that area have been very patient in what they've been looking for. Obviously, we hope we tried as hard as we could over the last 3 years with the programs that we put in front of the state, but a lot of times you saw that there were communities that had even more severe issues than what we have. We've had a track record as far as on the schools of trying to renovate and maintain a building instead of demolishing it and building new. I think this building is a good candidate for that, just like the high school was. The structure itself seems very sound, but again, we have roof leaking problems, we have heating and cooling problems, we have electrical problems, we do have ADA compliance issues that we've tried to make work, but they don't obviously meet the full codes. So we want to address all of those, and we want to get those all cleaned up so that, again, this is now a building that can service all the students that are there without any issues at all.
So an exciting step in the right direction with the program.
It certainly is. So it's not a done deal, but it certainly is a good sign. And I did call Mrs. McCarthy just before the meeting and thought after Bill, she probably should be the next to know that we're continuing to move forward. We're not getting the stop sign that we got the first 2 years, and
That's
I
excellent.
think that's really terrific. Because, one of the things we've said often is that the town has done a lot to keep that building up, truly, whether it's paving, whether it's facilities. But we're at the point where we can't do any more on our own. So we are sort of at that crossroads where either
Right,
we
and the
get some
parents
help,
help with that
or
beautiful
we're going to be
playground.
facing a building that we're not used to of the quality.
Yeah.
So I think the timing is great for this.
Great, good news.
Yes, it's very good news. And then the only other thing, holiday concerts have been wonderful, and including the American Sign Language kids who come down to the elementary schools. There's been a lot of wonderful seasonal things
That's
happening.
always-
So
I love that
kudos
when
to
they do
everyone. It brings joy and happy holidays, everyone.
Tina?
I have nothing.
No,
Merry Christmas,
just
happy
whatever
holidays.
holiday you celebrate, I hope it is lovely, and Happy New Year to everyone.
Amy?
Same thing, happy holidays and happy new year to everyone.
Are you under the weather, by the way? You seem like, or you just, is it the holiday season just, you're awfully quiet
I'm
tonight. You're good. Steve?
Merry Christmas and motion to adjourn.
Second that motion.
Well, did you have something to add before we vote?
Sounds like- sounds like you
I
do.
I have one more thing to add. I'm very excited for Bev, because this is a big week for her.
Right?
Yes.
So you'll have to call me Grammy the next time you see me.
We will,
You're
Grammy.
gonna win a Grammy?
Oh, no, seriously, do you know, it was around, remember my theater award that was
Yes.
read right? Well, I emailed one of my French friends. I said, this is great, and, I'm going to become a Grammy. She said, is it spelled Grammy? You spelled it IE. Are you getting another award? So this is the. Oh, that's cute. Yeah, she want to make sure she.
See that?
Well, can't wait to welcome you to the club. It's the best kind of club to be in.
Oh, and as my daughter-in-law said, we have another Patriot fan for the playoffs.
All right.
He's arriving just in time for the playoffs.
All those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
4-0. Good night and happy holidays, everyone.